Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark Simmons. I'm the Chief Strategist at Mixed Digital, and I'm here with Josh Zehtabchi, who is the Director of Search Engine Optimization at Mixed Digital. And what we're doing here is our very first video recording talking about Google Penguin. It's something that we want to do more often, to talk about different topics in the industry, and bring this information to our followers, our fans, our clients, and whoever may find this useful. Josh, you want to kind of give your background?
Sure. So I've been with Mixed Digital for about 5 years now. Been doing SEO for close to 10 years. We've seen pretty much everything out there from unnatural links, Penguin, Panda, even the old Florida updates. So we've seen quite a bit of fluctuation updates with Google, which kind of gives us a better understanding of what they're doing and helps us predict their intent and the future changes in their algorithm. As Mark said, the purpose of this call is to help educate some of our clients, viewers, and followers with the trends going on with Google, and to share our predictions, our experiences, and what we feel may be coming, and to kind of help the other people out there prepare to avoid being penalized by Google, being hit by unnatural links, and anything of that nature. So with that said, the reason we're going to focus on this particular topic on this video is the fact that Google Penguin has now refreshed in over 16 months. Now, there's a lot of controversy going on online on the forums, search engine land, webmaster world, that people are really getting sick and tired of waiting. Because essentially what's happened is 16 months ago, Google unleashed Penguin, I believe 3.0, and what that did is it focused on incoming links. So essentially, if your website had a whole bunch of unnatural links, repeating text, things that seemed outside the norm, Google would filter in on that, focus in on that, and give you some kind of warning, a penalty regarding either content, landing pages, cloaking, and in most cases, unnatural links. And the tricky thing about it is, and some of the controversy about Penguin is, a lot of SEOs think that there needs to be a refresh in order for your website to recover. Now, that kind of intersects with that 16-month period, is that we've been waiting 16 months for a refresh where we have hundreds upon thousands of websites being hit by these penalties, and they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs waiting for an update. And that's kind of what inspired this video. The fact that there is, a lot of nervousness in the industry and a lot of prediction of people trying to, or let me rephrase it, people hoping that there's going to be a refresh in the first quarter, and we're here at the end of February with nothing. So it's kind of an unfortunate situation, but it seems to be where we're at, and it's the basis of this conversation.
All right, appreciate it. And before we get into the meat of the conversation and the topic, just a quick bit about Mixed Digital and what we do. We focus on generating leads for our clients and generating revenues and using technology and analytics to drive measurable results. One of those ways that we do this revolves a lot around content. So naturally, search engine optimization is very important to what we do for clients, making sure their sites are optimized, that they have a definitive content strategy to drive qualified traffic to their site that generates more leads and generates ROI. Now, the relevance of that and Google Penguin is, if you're not paying attention to the updates that Google's putting out and putting yourself in the best position, you can be putting yourself in a precarious one where you're getting penalized or losing your SEO juice or your SEO value. So that's what we want to drive into today. So we'll start with this, Josh, and I'll put this question to you. In your opinion, Google Penguin is a lot about unnatural links and how Google deems links unnatural. So, what's the biggest trigger that is going to cause Google to identify a link as unnatural and then have Google take action against that?
So, okay, that's a great question, and there's actually a lot of debate in that. In my personal opinion, I think Google is working on a very massive macro level of interpreting all types of different links out there and putting them in kind of a ratio of where the link is hosted, on what IP, on what server, what's the linking text. And it puts all these elements into its algorithm to determine and to learn off of experience what links may be unnatural. So a prime example of that, and this is actually based on experiences. One client had paid an outsourced SEO firm to build some links, and what happened was his SEO firm actually owned several hundred domains on, let's say, half a dozen servers. So you have multiple websites sharing the same IP address. Well, that's normal in a shared hosting platform, but what's not normal is when all of these links are pointing to one specific website. When you have links spread out over one IP, several dozen, hundreds of links on one shared IP pointing to one outbound source, it kind of looks a little suspicious. And what we call that as a link farm. It's blatant exploitation of Google to try rank higher, and that's some of the things that they look for. So having a lot of links that repeat their text is one major thing as well. Anchor text being repeated, using particular keywords over and over again. These items are things that pop out to Google and say, hey, this link is different from this other link because it's repeating the text, it's on the same IPs. We're going to focus in on this, and we're going to learn off of this to develop an algorithm. And that's essentially what's going on, Mark, is these links that are just being blatantly exploited and either purchased or repeated. It's even for someone who really isn't in the industry, it's not that hard to see that it's something shady going on. It's almost like a Ponzi scheme, essentially.
Do you think that there are specific topics or industries that are more susceptible and should be concerned about these updates and how Google is looking at their industry and their content?
Oh yeah, absolutely. A lot of media websites, magazine-style websites, especially a lot of firms and advertising websites. In my opinion, they pose the biggest risk because they're the ones that are more aware of what's going on in the industry. And sometimes, having too much information can hurt you because you're going to ignore a lot of the details. So a lot of these, types of websites, their main revenue is advertisements, banners, or whatnot. So they're going to be going out reaching for links, trying to develop links, and these are the people that are going to be hit. As a matter of fact, I believe it was JCPenney's or Macy's a couple of years ago was reaching out to bloggers and saying, we'll give you discounts on products if you write about this product and link back to us. And sure enough, a major website like that got hit by Google. So so it's really hard to say one particular industry, but from what I've seen, a lot of the websites that depend on advertisements and adverts, these are the ones that are really being hit the hardest from my experience.
Okay, so you use the language get hit, get penalized. What does that mean? What does that mean to a site? How does it affect the site negatively?
Okay, so what happens, there's a couple of different theories about how unnatural links works within the penguin penalty. I like to kind of think of it as it's like toast and butter, and it kind of goes hand in hand. You can't really have one without the other. So I think that Google Penguin is I guess a template for their new algorithm update, and within that is an unnatural link penalty. And what happens is, again, if you're using these outdated, unpractical, and unethical link building practices, Google will catch you. It's not a matter of time. It's just like going on the on the speedway and going 80 miles per hour. You may go a couple exits, but you're eventually going to get hit.
Right.
So when Google does realize that your website may be, exploiting these link practices, what they do is they send you a message through email and Google Webmaster Tools. It says, hey, look, we've reviewed your link. You've been deemed as unnatural link building practices, and they take a couple different actions depending on how severe the action is. I've seen different actions. If you're talking about a small scale, maybe a couple hundred links, Google may actually say, hey, look, you have a couple links in your profile that look unnatural. So what we're going to do is we're going to deem these useless and void them, and you're pretty much, you're going to take a small hit, but you're not going to be off the scale. Now, there may be some sites that have been, depending on these practices, building links for their entire history, and when they get hit, it's not a matter of a couple links, it's the majority of their link profile. Once your entire link profile is deemed void, unnatural, or suspicious, what's going to happen is your website's going to fall down in the rankings. And the reason for that is, the reason why you're bringing it up in the rankings is you have trustworthy and authority links. Once Google says, hey, these links aren't trustworthy or show any form of authority, they deem those as void. They're essentially no follow. They're worthless. So it's not as if Google's pushing you down. It's more that Google's taking away those links, and those links that were holding you up now are making you fall back down.
Okay. So if you're a site that was impacted because of this update, because of this Penguin update, and you were pushed down, as you say, whether it was your own fault and you were trying to game the system, or you fell victim to a bad SEO consultant or bad SEO agency and they were doing some black hat technique, what can they do to recover? Can they recover?
I want to say usually it's typically you have a good outlook depending on your attitude and your experience of the subject. The first thing anybody has to do is you have to do a link audit. They have to review every single link coming to their website and determining which ones are natural, which ones are unnatural. Now, Google offers a tool called the Disavow Tool, which actually lets you upload a database of links once you audit your link, your backlink profile, to submit to Google and to submit your case. So what may happen is, you may hire a consultant to come in there, review 10,000 links to your website. That SEO consultant may say, half of these links are natural, they just occurred on their own, and the other half are obviously manifested by some kind of third party. They're repeating the text of the linking text. So instead of having a domain.com or click here to read more, it may be keyword, 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 and this repetitiveness obviously shows to Google. So from there, the consultant would create a whole database of these links, submit them to Google, and say, Google, we want you to remove these and block these from our profile and explain your case. And the best thing you do is be honest. We've had one client several years ago that hired an SEO firm in India, and nothing against any outside, third party, wherever you hire your SEO firm, but these people destroyed the link profile, and we essentially had to remove every single link but 2% and submit our case to Google. And at first we emailed them and said, okay, we removed everything, please give us another chance. And that wasn't good enough. What they really wanted to hear is human emotion. They want you to admit, say, hey, look, we messed up. We ignored these rules. We didn't pay attention to who we hired. We got ourselves in a bad situation. We fired the team. We rectified our link profile, and we're starting over. And sure enough, once you explain your case and have some kind of legitimacy, 9 times out of 10, Google will accept you. Now, we've also have websites where the entire link profile is just rubbish. The entire link profile is unnatural. And with a low brand following, sometimes it's easier just to kill that domain off, start over, and learn your lesson and go about the right way. I don't want to advise one way or the other without looking into details, but without going into specific details, with time and dedication, you can recover. And like we said earlier at the beginning of the video, with this refresh and update, we've had clients recover and been cleared of unnatural links before a Penguin refresh. So that's why they're not the same, but they're kind of working within each other, in my opinion, of course.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that a little more. Let's talk about a website that was affected and has started to recover. What's the expectation or probability that they can fully recover? And if they can't recover significantly, let's talk a little bit more about the situations that exist where they would need to start over with a fresh domain.
Well, okay, so it's a very good question. The best way you can recover is think of it if you have the flu or you're sick. You lose a lot of your bodily fluids. You become tired. It starts to affect your health. And the only way you can build your health back up is to replenish those fluids. And it's the same thing how it works with the Penguin or natural links. Once you're hit, Google's taken away credits of those links that were helping support your website higher on Google.
Right.
The only way to recover, to either match where you were or exceed where you were, are to replace those links that were unnatural with natural links. And there are a number of ways to do that. It's, you can either build great content, get some good press releases, article submission. There are a number of ways to build natural links without hiring a professional to go out there and just repeat and repeat and repeat text. So to answer your question is, like I said, it just depends on how much time and dedication a site owner has, and how much you're willing to reinvest back into that. Because like I said, any site can recover. We've had, we've had clients that were getting 10,000 views a week. They were hit with an unnatural link, dropped down to 4,000, and over the course of 12 to 24 months, they're at 12 and 15,000 a week now, because those unnatural links were filtered out, and now they're developing new natural links through content, through press releases, and through organic, natural interfaces. And now the second part of your question, sorry, when is it a good time to kill a website off and say, let's start over? It depends on the business model. A lot of times, these fly-by-night sport company, booking websites, the pharmaceutical pill websites. These websites, they're throwaway websites. These owners know that they're going to get caught, and they just put in as many links to that website for the temporary boost, and they know that once that website's hit, it doesn't matter. They already have a number of domains lined up afterwards. So unless you have a huge brand following and a brand awareness, it's really not worth it to destroy a website and a reputation over, especially if you invest some time and knowledge and education. You can easily rectify it.
Right. Okay. I want you to remind the audience of how many years of SEO experience you have, just quickly.
Oh, we're going on 8 years now.
8 years. Okay.
So we've seen a lot of stuff come and go, and SEO. The fun thing about it is, in my opinion, I don't think anybody's going to be fully right. It's like the Coca-Cola formula. People can guess and hint at it all the time, but it's all about theory and practice and experience, and combining all that together with other people that in this industry.
Right.
So I don't want to come off saying this is the only way. This is just the way I've seen based on the experience I've had and what we've interacted with on forums and other consultants as well.
Let's talk, because you mentioned the forums. Let's talk a little bit about the forums that you're involved with and your level of involvement with those forums.
Yeah, so I've been on the Joomla SEO forums for about 10 years now as an administrator and moderator, and I'm also on SEO chat forums. So I've been there for about 6 years now, and I'm also a moderator on there. And the great thing about those forums is, as much as you give, you get back as well. So I may help, some newcoming consultants, where the seniors may come back and help me. And it's been a great way to build relationships with SEOs all over the world. So sometimes, Google may test something in a different market before it hits another market. It's a great way to be either ahead of the curve or be prepared of what may be coming, as far as Google, Bing, or whatever it may be.
Right. I think that's a great point. I think it's a great point that you mentioned, that you not only share advice with newbies, but you get advice from other experienced SEOs. And, one thing that I've learned in the PPC world, just really quickly, that you need to continually learn. The industry changes, the techniques change, the functionality changes, the tools change. So you can't be expected to learn everything yourself. You need to be able to have mentors and have other people in the industry that you can share ideas with to continue to grow. So I think that your presence and participation in the forums is extremely important to your growth, but also the health of our clients. Okay, so next question, and this is really the last question. So based on your experience in the SEO world and the changes that you've seen over the 8 years that you've been focused on SEO, what can you predict as the future evolution of penalties and algorithm updates from Google, and just kind of penalties overall in the SEO world?
In my opinion, I think what Google is doing is actually very genius. There's been, there's a lot of paranoia with SEOs, especially with the Penguin updates. And I personally think it's genius what they're doing. I think what they're doing is they're setting a precedent that they're not going to tolerate this, and they're also doing almost a reverse engineering. They're letting the users submit links to them that they consider spammy, which helps them maybe build up an internal database and improve their algorithm and artificial intelligence learning systems to determine the patterns of these links, the relevance of these links, and to go ahead and be more proactive in the future with, if they find these links, maybe not, do a harsh penalty, but maybe just void these links, maybe count them as zero credit. There's been a lot of debate about, the Penguin refresh. Well, that's funny because last year there was a lot of debate about Penguin becoming streamlined into the Google algorithm where it'd be all live in real time. And I think that's where it's going. I think, with all this talk about Google switching to AI, they're pushing out all this artificial learning, they're pushing out all these, updates to the algorithm. I think eventually, in next couple of years, honestly, that Google will have a system so perfected that it will run on real time, that once a link is indexed, Google will either be able to tell right away that that link is natural or suspicious. And if it's suspicious, they put it in a pending area or a temporary holding cell type of thing until it can fully review it. But I think that's where Google's going, to make it more streamlined, to make it real time, and to release some of their stress and some of their workload on their part and their manpower into this whole system. Matt Cutts is on an indefinite vacation from Google, and he was the head of this whole entire system. So I think, there's a lot of stress going on with SEOs, but I think there's even more stress going on with Google themselves. And one funny, interesting thing that just happened yesterday is now Google themselves are in trouble because there's rumor that they may be in trouble because they're trying to buy links for the Chrome browser to boost Chrome. And this has happened before where Google has actually penalized themselves. So, it goes to say, it affects you, it affects me, it affects everybody else, but it also puts a lot of strain on Google, their resources, their core business model of advertising and making money, and the workload of people dedicated to this department. So I think that they're going to try to make this all artificial intelligence, all streamlined, where they can just sit back, let this thing go, and worry about their core business practice of advertising, search, and making money.
Yeah. I totally agree. I think it is all moving in the direction of creating a more positive user experience. And no one wants to see results that are irrelevant, right? So that's Google's job, to make sure that when we do type in a keyword search phrase, that we're getting back results that are based on what we typed in and what we're actually looking for. So, preventing people from gaming the system is extremely important.
And to that point, Mark, it's just funny you mention that. Facebook actually is using the same technology. They're using the same artificial intelligence to follow what you're liking, what you're commenting on, to give you the most relevant news feed on your Facebook profile. So you see the details of the friends you're most interacted with first. And that's where I think Google's going just on a different subject, just with search and search quality. So I think they're learning a lot from each other. I think we can compare both of them and learn a lot from each other as well.
Okay. All right. So in our final minutes here, could you recap for the audience the key points and items to avoid, and give the audience some general advice for link building?
Yeah, to recap, to be honest, it used to be easy to game Google. Any SEO who denies that is lying. It used to be very, very easy to take advantage of this. And they're finally getting on track. They're finally realizing they're being exploited. So, to overall summarize this, it's better, it's like the hare versus the tortoise. It's always better to go at a slow and steady pace with your link building, with your online reputation, rather than just steroid it up and hope for the first page within a couple of weeks. It's not going to happen. It's going to take months and years. So the thing you got to keep in mind, especially with link building, is you can't rush it. It's like a marriage. It has to develop and grow organically. When you rush it, that's when you find failure. And you're going to fail either on your own terms or Google's going to penalize you. And to add to that, the best advice I can give for link building is to keep it natural. Don't exploit keywords and key phrases. Focus on your brand awareness, and making your brand the most powerful, dominant term in there. Because what happens is Google's going to pick up on the brand recognition, and they're going to give you benefits. They're going to give you site links. They're going to give you quick answer references. They're going to give you a lot of benefits organically. They're going to happen on their own. You don't need to force them. That said, people who say, build content and the links will come, I think that's a little too passive. I think you still need to be actively pursuing links, but this should be on a more logical and organic area. You need to find links that relate to yours. You need to make relationships with people in your industry. So if you're a webmaster and you're a web designer, be friends with marketers. Be friends with social media people. That way you can share blog posts. You can share information. That way you both get brand awareness, but also you're also getting a link back. So everyone helps. Everyone helps each other. Everyone benefits. And there's nothing dishonest or mischievous about it. You're honestly supporting your friend Bob, who's a design head, and he's supporting you because you're social media marketing, and the relationship grows and develops organically. Avoid repeating text. If you're trying to rank for professional basketball, if you don't want to go and throw professional basketballs all over your website, all over your links. You want it to be organic and natural for the readers. And if you can sleep at night knowing you did a good job, that's all there is to it. We know so many SEOs that every time there's a talk of an update, they can't sleep, they're nervous, and they're scared out of their mind because that's their whole reputation. And if you have that worry on your mind and you're anticipating these updates in a negative fashion, you're doing something wrong. You should be anticipating these updates with the hopes of, Google's going to recognize our hard work, and they're going to penalize our competition for gaming this system. You should be looking forward to these updates, not fearing them. And that's the best advice I can give, honestly.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. All
no
right.
problem.
So this concludes our first video presentation on the topic of Google Penguin. I think that I hope we gave some valuable advice and things to look out for and a better understanding of how Google Penguin affects the industry and affects webmasters and marketers. You can find out more information about us on the web at mixeddigital.com. You can learn more about Josh, myself, the rest of the team, the clients we've serviced, and the solutions that we offer our clients. We can also be found on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. So there's always ways to connect with us. We put out a blog post every week on Wednesdays religiously. Sometimes we put out blog posts on Fridays as well. So there's definitely a lot that we try to share about the industry, about what we've learned, tips and tricks and little hacks, things that make productivity, that increase productivity and things like that. So we definitely try to help out the marketing world, in addition to our clients and any other interested parties. So thank you for watching. Any parting words, Josh?
That's pretty much it. Keep it natural and just do the right thing, because it will come back and bite you.
There you go. Stay out of trouble and do the right thing. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great day.